Hello and welcome to episode 54 of 15K Plus Random Movie Reviews, the podcast where we pick a random movie from Metacritic's all-time movie list. But this week we didn't actually pick from Metacritic's all-time movie list. We picked from our listener Andrew's top 10 movies. And we got number 2, which was The Good, the Bad and the Ugly from 1966. Runs for 2 hours and 41 minutes. It's got a Metascore of 90 and a user score of 9.1. Budget of 1.2 million and a box office of 38.9 million. By the way, I'm Colin.
And I'm still Niall.
Andrew's list threw me off there, so it took a little bit of a detour, that intro, but hey, a change is as good as a rest. So Sergio Leone directed this. I don't know how to pronounce it, Leone or Leone. Probably Leone.
It's one of those two, definitely.
Yeah. Obviously, he directed the trilogy, the Few Dollars More, Fistful of Dollars.
Fistful of Dynamite.
Dollars.
Yes, he didn't do Dynamite.
And he did Once Upon a Time in America. He only really directed 9 movies in total, and one of them was one of his last ones. Wasn't really a movie, so it's interesting. It's not too much of a back catalogue for him. And he now didn't speak English, basically. He only spoke Italian and French.
Which is, weird that he would choose to make these movies with the main actors speaking only English. Like Clint Eastwood does not speak Italian.
No. Eli Wallach, who played Tuco, he could speak a bit of French, I read, and so they could communicate. But for the trilogy of movies, Clint couldn't really. Well, he had an interpreter beside him at all times, but didn't really get directed by him directly.
Might explain why Clint says "sod all" in 3 movies.
Yeah, and I read that for this one, he wasn't too. He twisted his arm with a lot of money in a Ferrari to make this movie, and
that'll work.
Yeah, that'll work. But he was sort of going, it looks like it's going to be Tuco's movie. His character gets developed a lot more than Blondie's, and he was right.
He's absolutely right. Listen, I get why he was concerned. He isn't actually, although he's billed as the top man, he's not. Tuco all the way, baby, and Tuco shines. But Clint is pretty good in it. He's as a supporting actor who isn't actually supposed to be a supporting actor. He's very good.
Yeah, he's sort of a linchpin or a radius that everything kind of revolves around, or radius around him. He's the core of it, and the radii spokes go out from the center. It was written by a couple of dudes, but Luciano Vincenzoni. One of his back catalogue movies was Raw Deal from '86. Schwarzenegger's.
Very good.
Schwarzenegger's. Yeah, nothing else really pops out of there. Obviously, there's a lot of Italians involved in the back end. The cinematography was by Tonino Deli Colli, who did the cinematography for Life is Beautiful from '97, if you remember that famous Roberto Benigni actor speech when he jumped all over the seats and everything. Just it was interesting to make that link and go back and watch that clip. Anyway, summary is, for 3 men in the Civil War. For 3 men, the Civil War wasn't hell, it was practice. Clint Eastwood returns as the man with no name, this time teaming with 2 gunslingers, Lee Van Cleef and Eli Wallach, to pursue a cat of $200,000 and letting no one, not even warring factions in a civil war, stand in their way. Don't really team up together, but it's sort of an interesting dance of
betrayal, constant betrayal. Stab you in the back? No, I'll stab you in the back. Hey.
Yeah. The Italian name was Il Buono, Il Brutto, Il Cattivo. Just to get that out there. So obviously we have a very famous element of this movie that everybody knows.
Ennio.
And the intro, the music.
Yeah. Such just beautiful.
Yeah.
Listen, I watched this last night with my wife, and she said after about 10 seconds I was grinning, because just the music, and it evokes a certain time in my life, and I'm not a Western fan at all, but this movie holds a place in my heart. I watched it a bunch of times as a kid,
Yeah.
and the music could just drag you straight in there.
Yeah, I thought the graphics in the intro were terrible, but I guess it was 66, you know?
Yeah, yeah, the animated guy in the back of a horse and then getting shot off with a cannon. It looked cheap, it looked crap, it looked quickly put together. Um,
Yeah.
it doesn't detract from the movie
No, no, no.
because while that's happening, the music's playing, and you're like, yeah, I'll forgive them.
There's so many cannons shot at the start as well.
Pew 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 pew.
Constantly. Yeah, that's one of the things. The bullet sounds ricocheting off soft objects are a bit weird. You know, when he shoots the hats off people, it's like, pew. It's like, no,
Yeah,
that doesn't happen.
no, it doesn't. But then again, as you said, 66. Like the part of the production points that I might knock it down on, the bullets sounded the whole way through terrible. I genuinely think that the dubbing that they do in it actually comes across quite good.
It's jarring at the start, but I think the story takes over. I don't really. It's, you know, there's different versions out there. So obviously, the cast of actors that support them are not. They're Italian. I think maybe some
Yeah.
Spanish, and they all get dubbed into English, so their lips aren't moving, obviously. But also, I think maybe the version I saw, the main characters also dubbed over their voices a little bit. I'm not sure. There was some not director's cut, but a new sort of anniversary thing where they redid their voices. I thought it might have been only for deleted scenes and scenes that weren't published.
No, I think it was all of them. I think I may have watched the same one then. The
Yeah.
super extended, extra long, mega long version.
Yeah. It just didn't feel like they were talking in the scenes, basically.
But I think that's of all three movies have the same characteristic when it comes to speech.
Yeah.
And perhaps where these movies new now, and you were faced with this weird decision to overdub the main actors who are speaking English.
Yeah.
You might complain about it, but maybe it's me being nostalgic. It doesn't affect me so much. It is jarring at the start, I guess, but it's quickly forgotten.
Yeah. I was surprised that 2 hours and 41 minutes went by. Like, I first looked at my watch thinking, oh, there's probably another hour to go. And it was like, there's 20 minutes left. So,
Yeah. And I had the same, and I think we talked about Lawrence of Arabia, and there were times in Lawrence of Arabia I was like, oh God, it's an hour and a half. While I was enjoying the movie, it drudged at times.
yeah.
This movie's longer, and it doesn't.
No.
Stuff is always happening. There's a lot that happens in this movie, and a lot of it is visual, but it's all about story progression. For example, when they're faffing around in the desert,
Yeah.
in Lawrence of Arabia, it's like 25 minutes of sand
Yeah. Vistas.
and one lad.
Yeah.
Whereas this is much shorter, and there's dialogue.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed that too. It's very much getting it over with. It wasn't there for the scenery, it was there for the story. The scenery wasn't the story. It definitely helped, but it wasn't.
And respect to the cinematographer. He picks fantastic shots and in lovely colors. You know, there's a certain palette the whole way through, and he sticks to it, and it's great.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the cinematography, the soundtrack, and the story and the acting just come together just to make this one of the, probably maybe even the best Western that has been made. But let's get into the plot line here, because the three titular characters get introduced at the start with their very own sort of introductory action sequences, I would guess, to describe it as. So we have the ugly intro, which is the first scene of the movie, and you don't know really what's going on because he isn't shown. It's the four,
three lads or four lads coming together in the door. Yeah,
three lads are like, again, but it sets the scene though. There's extreme close-ups of facial reactions, and there's close-ups of faces, and then there's full body, far off shots as well, and they just blend together just to make it so beautifully shot, and just sets the mood and scene. I just wonder if a director does that now? Do we go, oh, it's a trope, blah blah? Is it because it's
It is
'66?
it is a trope, but these guys get away with it, or this guy gets away with it because it was the trope defining movie. You can't give out to him.
Yeah, yeah.
He came up with it.
It was,
But that said, these visual effects and these approaches are still used, and they're used by particularly brilliant modern directors, and they're still used to great effect.
yeah. So this scene at the start bookends because at the end of the movie we have the three-way duel,
Symmetry, baby.
and it has the extreme close-ups and of the faces along with other shots as well, but it just kind of brings it back around to the drama that's involved in the plot line and the tenseness of sort of going up against your fellow man in a fight to the death, pretty much, in every sort of aspect of life in the Wild West at that time. So
What I love is like this first scene is Tuco,
yeah,
and I don't know, he's in a bar or something, and the three lads kick the door in and coming in start shooting. And next thing you see is Tuco jumping through the window with a like a ham or something.
yeah, something like
kind of
that.
eating it as he goes through the window, and then camera pans back to the guys, and they're all lying dead on the ground.
Yeah,
Oh, so we think.
yeah. One of them is still alive, and he pops up later on in the movie as a.
But sorry, but what's very important about this scene is it freeze frames as he's going through the window.
Yeah.
And it goes, the ugly. And that is just such an iconic approach to introducing a main character in a movie that's been used a billion times since.
Yeah, and we'll get it out there at this very moment in time. Quentin Tarantino, this is his favorite movie, and he calls it the best piece of cinema history or whatever. And there's so many scenes, and this reminded me of. And the next scene in particular,
it is the farm scene.
It is totally big time.
Oh. And I never copped it before, but it's such a callback to it, like in Inglourious Bastards. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And as Hans Lando,
yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Hans, he's the Jew hunter chap is chatting to the French farmer, and it's just same scene. It's, in fairness, Tarantino's version is amazing, but it's derived from this scene.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
Angel Eyes sits down and starts eating the farmer's food effectively. Amazing. And the family are, ushered out of the way so they can have the conversation.
Yeah.
But it's the same tension.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Lee Van Cleef is so...
Oh, he just looks like a bad guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just so sort of... Yeah, he's intense and sort of sneering and smiling. The guy, the farmer's going, how much are they giving you for killing me? And he's just smiled. He's a sneer, $500.
$500
for the name. Yeah. So this is sort of a setup for a thread that runs through it. Obviously, the major thread, there's hidden gold somewhere. And
the farmer chap kind of does himself a disservice because he's as Angel Eye sits down, he just stares at him and starts eating food and just intently staring at him until he breaks. And not one word has been issued by Angel Eyes. It's just two of them sit looking at each other for about 3 minutes. And that sounds like a massive amount of time, but it just builds tension. So well done.
Yeah.
Until he breaks and starts speaking. And he gives out far too much information, which probably led to his death pretty soon after.
Well, Angel Eyes basically said, well, I always follow my job. So he was never going to be living. He was never. He
was only paid for the name, though.
Yeah, but he
probably would have killed him.
He's the bad.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, he's the bad. Well, this is 10 minutes into the movie, and they're the first words that are spoken. So, like the first scene where the ugly is introduced, no dialogue, and then we wait a long time. There's a beautiful shot of POV from the kitchen table where he's just silhouetted in the front door as well. That's really great.
So good.
Yeah. So Bill Carson is this name that pops up, and he has gold stashed away somewhere, and he used to be called Jackson, but so he's called Bill Carson now. So the bad Angel Eyes has a lead now to follow.
I know he's in the 3rd Brigade.
Yeah.
Confederate Army.
Yeah, he's in the 3rd Brigade. And so then we get into the good intro.
Yeah, so there's three lads facing off against Tuco looking for his bounty. So there's money on Tuco's head because he's up to no good.
Yeah.
And three lads square off against him, and Tuco's like, "Hey, come on, lads!" That's when our good friend Mr. Good turns up, or Blondie.
Yeah, and so we get, so there's a whole big scene of him dragging Tuco in, and Tuco's a great, he's doing a fantastic job of hamming it up and
big time,
calling them so many names and everything. It's really good. And Eli Wallach does a great job at being the sort of, day by day criminal, and he's got everything to say against everybody. But then we realize that in the next scene that Blondie and Tuco are in cahoots together, and
they're nothing but ordinary con men with amazing gun skills.
Yeah. So Blondie is shooting the rope, and she heads off on the horse and gets away, and Blondie gets the money, and they all get the and it quickly moves on to the next hanging scene just to show that they're serial
hangers.
Yeah. And in the audience of this one, Angel Eyes is in the crowd, and Shorty comes up to him and gives him a lead for finding out where Bill Carson is. Shorty being a guy with no legs.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually get they get into the second hanging and get away, and then basically Blondie's leaving Tuco, saying, "Yeah, I'm done, man."
But he's such an asshole thing to do. He leaves a noose around his neck and his hands tied, and he just takes all the money.
Yeah.
Life would have been so much easier for everybody had he just went, okay, you did a lot of work for that money. And he did, in fairness. He got hung several times.
Yeah.
He deserves a couple of quid. But Blondie, a.k.a. the man with no name, a.k.a. Clint, he's a bit of an a-hole.
Yeah, and what comes around goes around, and what goes around comes around. They're all a-holes.
Several times, yeah.
As one of the writers, I think, said, it's a story about three bums who will do anything for money. So
that's about right.
About right, yeah. There's an interesting scene. It sort of reminds me of Lawrence of Arabia, because in the next scene, it's one of the only female characters in the movie.
Bill's girl, yeah.
Bill's girl, Maria. So obviously, Angel Eyes goes there to get some more intel, and this is where he finds out that he's in the third company, under General Silby. I heard that Lee Van Cleef didn't want to slap the actress, so they had to get somebody else to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's somebody else's had.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
wow.
He was
it's a pretty convincing slap as well, so maybe it was real.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So we have a scene then of Tuco walking back into town, and he reminded me a lot of Captain Sparrow.
He does. He's kind of swaggering around the place. He's in bits. He's dehydrated.
Yeah.
But I love this scene now in the shop.
That's a great scene.
Where he's looking at all the guns on display, and he's like he's listening to the mechanisms, and he's like, no, give me the revolvers. No, the revolvers, not that crap. Yeah, he disassembles several guns and assembles one decent gun out of the whole lot.
Improvised scene as well. He just was given, just messing around with them.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a great scene. He's like, he takes his money and then he sticks the close sign in his mouth. That was improvised as well.
It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah, it's a really good scene.
He is an absolute a-hole, but it was kind of nice that instead of shooting somebody, he just sticks the close sign. He takes $200 off him as well.
Yeah.
But he leaves him with his life, which is, more than Angel Eyes would have done.
Maybe. So then he grabs his posse, and I heard there was a deleted scene. Maybe you saw a scene.
Is this in the underground where he says one of my favorite lines in the movie? Was it now? If you work for a living, why do you kill yourself working?
All right, so yeah,
just before the lads appear.
Yeah, so that wasn't in. I don't think that was in this. Maybe that was in this. Was that in a cave? And he met the.
Yeah, that was in the cave. So he comes in with a chicken. A chicken that's recently been killed by his fair hands, and he comes in and sits down and starts plucking the chicken, and he starts shouting about he's lonely and he's rich, and he wishes his friends are about. Then he says that line, which I love.
So
and then three lads rappel down from the ceiling after he mentions there's a lot of money to be had if we can kill one guy.
So that's one of the restored scenes that weren't in the original one. That wasn't in my version that I watched.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one that they redid the vocals, and Lee Van Cleef, Angel Eyes had a scene that was restored as well during this, and he was dead by this time, so they got somebody else to redo his voice. So I'm sure when you mention it later on, I'm sure it'll be a scene that I haven't seen before. Yeah. So anyway, they go after. This is when it joins back into the movie I have, the movie version I have, where they go and find him in room 4.
That's correct, Amundo.
And so he's up there assembling his gun. And
what's important though is outside there is a regiment of Confederate soldiers marching, with carriages and horses and a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So as the guys sneak into the hall outside, he hears nothing. But then somebody shouts halt, and everybody stops, and then he hears a clink.
Your spurs.
Yeah. Shoots the guy who just kicked the door in. Good timing on the reassemble of the gun, because he did about a quarter of a second just in time. Then shoots 3 guys, bang, bang, bang. But then somebody clicks their spurs behind them.
Yeah, Tuco.
And he comes out a great line, Tuco, in this one. It's 2 types of people in this world, and this is the second time that used the phrase 2 types of people or something to that effect, because it's been used, 2 types of people earlier, but those with the noose around their neck and those who do the cutting.
Right, yeah.
And this one is just 2 types of people in this world: those with spores coming in through the hall, and those with spores coming in the window. And it's wonderful. Now he's got him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's roles are reversed, and they're both terrible people, and now he's got good, but he really does Angel or Blondie bad here. He really
F's him over bad.
Takes him. He gets a big case of sunburn going through the desert. Yeah, so
I love the parasol he carries though while he's doing it.
Yeah, he's carrying a pink
washing
parasol.
His feet in the water and going, "Oh, you want the water, do you?"
That's another delete. That's another restored scene.
Is it? Yeah, okay, yeah. I think it was a great scene. It's a more assholiness from Mr. Tuco.
Yeah. So no, he totally fucks Blondie up. But he's saved by a runaway coach with one Bill Carson there hanging on to dear life. Obviously, Tuco goes over and he's...
Water!
Yeah. I got gold hidden.
Give me some water and I'll get all the gold. It's in the cemetery. Yeah. And then you give me the water now and I'll tell you the name and the thing.
Don't go, don't die. I'm getting you water. Like Tuco is just salivating over the gold that's been promised.
$200,000 of gold back in the day. Even now. It's a lot of money.
Sad Hill Cemetery. So this was all shot in Spain, and so this graveyard was made by the Spanish army along with the bridge later on. And
it's an interesting tidbit about the bridge.
Bridge. Yeah, stupid.
Well, we'll talk about it when you get to it. Yeah. It made me chuckle so much.
But anyway, the graveyard was was left there and left derelict. And then I think maybe 2014 or 2017, I can't remember, a bunch of fans went and started digging it up and restoring it, and a documentary was made about it, about them just restoring the graveyard. Yeah, and then one website I was reading, they give the GPS coordinates for it, so you can just go and see it.
Have your own Mexican standoff at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what fans do there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So he goes to grab water, but of course, Blondie. Blondie is down with the dead soldier, and what did he say to you? I know the name on the gravestone. You're gonna have to keep me alive, boy.
And then he passes out. And he's like, no, don't die on me, Blondie. Don't die. You're my brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I love you. So he grabs he takes him to a nearby monastery, and sort of it's in this monastery I find the whole flies on face theme popped into my head. Like a lot of flies are landing on their faces, and just adds to the sort of
Oh, it really does. So, and it's not
stickling
something.
heat.
Yeah, and it's not something you can plan for. It just. I'm guessing they're lucky, or do they
Stunt
cover themselves in
flies.
honey?
Release the stunt flies. All right, you go over there.
And it really adds, especially with Blondie's effed up face.
Oh yeah.
It just adds to the horribleness of the scene and the sticky, horrible, sweaty. There.
Yeah, so he kind of goes in when he's still at death's door, and Blondie waves him over feebly.
I'm just glad that a good friend is here to look after me.
Yeah.
Yep. I am not telling you until we are close to the graveyard. You keep me alive, motherfucker.
Yeah. So Tuco's brother's there as a monk.
Pablo.
Yeah, 9 years he hasn't seen him. His parents are dead, and Tuco takes a moment, and you get sort of a moment where you go, "Oh, poor fella," he's taking it hard. And
I think this scene is fantastic. Actually, the brother scene. I think there's kind of raw emotion on Tuco's face, and the realization that while he's been off being a bandito, bad shit's happened to his family. But then he goes into it further. He gets annoyed with Pablo because Pablo's kind of judging him, and he's like, is it Pablo?
Yeah, that's Pablo. Yeah.
Pablo. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, Pablo's like, where the hell have you been for the last years? You've off been doing evil, haven't you? And
yeah.
Tuco takes exception to this because Pablo sought off to become a priest and left him with the family, and there was nothing for him to do. There was no money to be had, and there was no food to be had. So he did the one thing that he knew how to do, and it was become a bandit. And then there's a couple of slaps exchanged. And to be honest, out of this exchange, you start feeling for Tuco. And this is the first time he's more than just an asshole. You get some reason for his assholiness. None of the other two main characters, ever get this sort of backstory introduced, because the man with no name is never going to introduce his backstory. And Angel Isles is also not going to ever talk about himself. But it's I think it was kind of, I don't know if I say refreshing, but it was in a Western movie where that sort of exposition doesn't really happen on it often. I think it's fresh. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and I think Clint Eastwood was correct. He kind of reflected, going, "Yeah, it's more of a Tuco. The plot line and backstory of Tuco is fleshed out more
The good,
than
the bad, and the Tuco.
Yeah, or Tuco, and Tuco.
Tuco and some lads.
Yeah. All right, anyway, Blondie gets better, and they head on out, and they're still in the Confederate uniforms because they took them from the dead guys, and then they see Grey Army coming, going, "Yeah, up the Confederacy." Oops.
Yeah, that's not a good move, lads.
It's a good scene. It's a good scene.
Good scene, and the lads pull up beside him and start dusting themselves off. And next thing is, oh crap, that's a blue uniform.
POW camp for you.
Ah, yeah. So look, Angel Eyes.
Yeah, Angel Eyes is one of the sergeants in the camp, and he's pretty much just been waiting out for Bill Carson, basically, because he knew he'd be coming this way.
Chance. Yeah.
And so Tuco says present for Bill Carlson, but Tuco and Angel Eyes know each other from prior.
Yeah, well, I guess they're in a similar line of business, killing people for money.
Yeah, they've crossed paths.
They've shared notes. They've got, they're friends on LinkedIn, I guess.
A good scene is when the commandant, he's got gangrene, and he's just sitting there. He's telling Angel Eyes, "You gotta stop it. I'm gonna call you up for the torture you're doing." And Angel Eyes is pretty much going, "Yeah, how long do you got? How long have you got? How long is that gangrene gonna take?"
And I got the feeling that if the captain had pushed it all that hard, the captain just would have been dead straight away.
Yeah.
Just like Mr. We forgot to mention him, actually, Mr. Baker earlier on. with the pillow over the head and a couple of shots.
Yeah.
It's only like a 30-second scene, but
he basically
I
kills.
was half expecting it to happen again.
Yeah. He basically kills the guy that sent him
That
to the
hired him.
farmer. Yeah.
In fairness, he fulfilled his contract. He said nothing about not killing the person who paid him.
So he calls for Tuco and they have a nice meal together. And I like the way Tuco like stops with his fork halfway up to his mouth, going, and then Angel Eyes just reaches over and eats some. And Tuco goes, I knew it, and just starts.
You're a good guy. You'd always look after a friend.
Yeah.
No, not quite. Do you like music with your meal? The answer is no, Tuco. No. Say no. It does not help your digestion.
So he basically starts torturing him and beating the crap out of him as the music plays outside, and it's a great piece
importantly,
of music.
It's fantastic. It's eerie, and it's the juxtaposition of what's been done to Tuco by Mr. Wallace, who's beaten 7 shades of shite out of poor Tuco, while this soulful song has been played in the background.
Yeah,
it's kind of eerie.
And of course, they do what they do best, and they have close-ups of the musicians while they're playing, and they know, everybody in the camp knows when the music plays, there's torturing going on. And so the violinist tries to stop or stops, and the guy was like going, continue on.
More feeling.
I think Angel Eyes at this point inside, when he's beating the crap out of Tuco, goes, how's your digestion now?
Yeah. What an a-hole.
Yeah.
Poor Tuco.
Yeah.
He gets a good going over here.
Oh yeah, big time. It's a fantastic scene, as you said. It juxtaposes between the music and the torture, and it's just this sort of contrasting vibe between the two sets of shots. Anyway, it's over for Tuco. He's beaten the crap, and he's gone from the house, and he calls for Blondie, and surprisingly enough, he just goes to Blondie. All right, you're coming with me.
Here's your gun.
Yeah.
Change your clothes. Here's your gun. Let's go get that money.
Yeah.
And Blondie's like, okay.
That's pretty good.
Fair enough. I thought I was going to be in prison.
Yeah.
Hey,
so Angel Eyes takes Blondie, and then Wallace takes Tuco. And out the door they go, and Tuco obviously then pushes Wallace out the train with him to escape from. They're handcuffed together. Quite Lethal Weapon-like.
Oh, yeah. But he had promised them. He says earlier on in one of the first scenes that where they've met, he says to Wallace, oh, yeah, I like them big fat guys like yourself. Make bigger noise when they hit the ground. Sometimes they don't get back up. Well, he doesn't get back up after this train scene.
No, he bashes his head against a
rock repeatedly. Yeah.
And then he can't get away from the chains, so he puts half the chains over the rail track, chucks Wallace in the middle, and waits for the next train to come along.
What I love about this scene is he does that, and ordinarily you'd expect both corpses still be there, but there's a scene where Wallace is dragged along by the train underneath. Loved it.
Yeah, it was great. That really stuck in my head too. I heard that it was a very dangerous stunt, and Eli Wallach nearly got decapitated doing it. It was actually real. Real in a sense. Something went across. I don't think it was an actual train, but...
Yeah, like if the chain he had in his arm, which probably wasn't a real chain, but if that had got stuck, then there would be no more Tuco.
No, yeah. So he's heading in, and he's in there's a civil war in full swing. There's towns and villages they're going through that are just bombed, and you constantly hear the shriek of rockets come in. And this is a great scene when he finds a bath tub, and there's a guy outside, and we mirror the first scene where there's a close-up of his face scrutinizing, and in this scene he's scrutinized again. It's the guy he left for dead in the first scene.
He's a bit harmless, this fella. Hey. Well, what I love what happens next though, because this guy comes in, kicks the door in, points a gun at Tuco, and starts giving out you shot me, you left me for dead. Well, I'll tell you, pew pew pew. And then Tuco stands up in the bathtub and goes, well, hey, if you're going to shoot somebody, shoot somebody. Don't talk.
Exactly. Ad-libbed from Eli Wallach.
Genius move.
Yeah,
Genius
so
bit of dialogue.
the crew laughed. Sergio Leone didn't know what was going on because he doesn't speak English, so he kept it in. When you have to shoot, shoot. Don't
Yeah, and
talk.
it's one of the best scenes. You know,
Yeah, that's really
it's
good.
it's good humor. In something that isn't all that funny.
Yeah, at this point, Blondie's with Angel Eyes and his 5 henchmen or whatever, and in the same village. Strangely enough,
6
coincidentally,
at the start.
6 at the start.
Sorry, 7 at the start. Because they're himself and Angel Eyes are having a midday snooze, and Blondie hears a rustle and just shoots, and the guy just keels over. And then Blondie says, you lads should probably come in out of the cold. They're liable to catch a bit of a sniffle or a bullet.
That's probably a deleted scene. I don't remember that.
Oh, okay. That must be a deleted scene. Because he started off with 7 henchmen, and then he had 6 because he just shot one for the crack, like, because he was rustling too much and annoying him when he was trying to sleep.
He shot. That's weird. I don't remember that. The only thing I remember is when he walks outside and Angel Eyes goes follow him, and the guy follows him and he just shoots him around the corner.
Yeah, well, what I like about that is Blondie recognizes the type of shot that Tuco has done, like, because he shot the guy out of the bathtub, and he goes, there's only one guy who shoots like that. Going for a walk, lads, don't mind me. Because this is the first chance Blondie recognizes that I can't take all these guys by myself. Oh, that Tuco, we can do this.
You think he heard Tuco or something?
Yeah, he hears a couple of shots.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering.
Again, this might be another deleted scene. There's one sort of line. He's off in a corner by himself, Blondie, and he says, only one guy shoots like that or sounds like that when he's shooting.
Yeah, maybe.
He just gets up and walks out.
Oh, maybe.
Because the only reason he's leaving there is because I've got a chance against these lads because I got backup.
Right, yeah. Again, he's a selfish twat, and he's just out for himself. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to die if I don't get Tuco involved here. Interesting. I don't. Maybe that was in that, but I don't remember.
But there is the next scene where, Blondie shoots one of the lads who's following him. Yes. But then he goes and meets up with Tuco.
Yeah.
In the bathtub.
Yeah.
And explains his dilemma. And Tuco's originally delighted as he sees Blondie come in and goes, "Hey, you're okay. Let's do this thing. 200 grand still on the cards." And then Blondie explains, "Yeah, it's still me and Angel Eyes, and we might need to get rid of Angel Eyes." Tuco's like, "Fair enough. I can kill him."
Yeah.
And then Blondie's like, "Well, he's got 5 friends still." Tuco's like, "This is why you need Tuco's help." No matter. I killed them all anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Another great scene, shot going down the street, yeah, it's very good. And the henchmen, the goons are a bit slow on the trigger, though, I must say.
Well, they nearly got Tuco in one of the scenes. They missed his head by about 2 inches.
Yeah.
But Tuco doesn't miss at all. And then, it's a fantastic little scene. It's obviously a massive trope that, your 2 heroes, if you'd call them that, just don't miss.
Anti-heroes,
yeah. Anti-heroes.
Anti-heroes. Yeah, so it's a good scene. It's well shot. It's again, at the start, it's very atmospheric, but it slowly gets into just that nice sort of Western style where they're just pick off the guys and the guys fall off the roof. And it's a nice scene. It's sort of just gets rid of them from the storyline, basically. And it just, wheedles down the cast to the 3.
Yeah. And there's a nice little interaction between Blondie and Tuco as they walk down and start shooting people, and they're looking at each other shooting people and going, "Hey, not bad," almost like they're raiding each other. Yeah. It's why I'd almost say at moments this movie reminds me a little bit of a buddy movie, even though they kind of hate each other.
Yeah, it's probably an anti-buddy movie. It's sort of
anti-hero.
Yeah, anti-heroes in an anti-buddy movie. Just because they're never friends and they're the opposite of friends, but they use each other's abilities and skills and partnership to survive to the next scene.
Yeah.
Whereas Angel Eyes, though, is just sort of
he's just straight up asshole.
Yeah, he's just a lonesome dove. Yeah, so I Eli just fucks off. He just leaves a note going, "See you soon, idiots."
It's for you. Blondie hands it over to Tuco. I believe it's for you. It's a good move from Angel Eyes.
Oh yeah, he's like, all right, fair enough. I'm just going to follow these assholes until they find that gravestone, and I'll turn up again. Everybody knows it. We're watching the movie. We know what's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, they set off on the road and get quickly nabbed by the Yankees again, and I love the way it just pans from getting nabbed to a crazy huge scene of just thousands of soldiers just across the river from each other on a bridge in the middle, and it's a really great cinematography scene.
Oh, it's so good. It really is so good. I love this whole bridge thing. Like, listen, I'll be honest. The guy playing the captain, he hams it up massively.
Yeah, the dubbed guy who voice acts him. Yeah,
it's shocking. But it doesn't distract. It doesn't diminish the scene at all.
No, it's good.
Like the visuals on this, the emotion from the two lads as they're watching this ridiculous battle over nothing plays out. They're just befuddled by it almost. They're just looking on going, why?
And that's the interesting thing about the Civil War as well. I think it was one of the first wars where you could actually just sit on the sidelines on a seat and look at it unfold, because it was fought over massive fields and valleys. And so if you sat just up on one of the hills, you could just sit on a wall and watch it unfurl, because they're all basically just going head on to each other. If that's modern warfare, everybody's flanking and blah, blah, blah. But as you see from lots of movies,
strategy.
Yeah, there's no strategy. You kneel down, the front row kneels down, and they fire. And then you reload, and the other one stands up, blah, blah, blah. But like looking at those two, yeah, you're right. Looking at those two, just observers, just going, what the hell? So yeah, the Yankees and the Confederates are just rushing and meeting at this bridge, and it's just pure chaos, basically. And then they're like going, actually Tuco's going, the cemetery's over that bridge, you know.
Bloody like, damn it.
And he's
Why don't we just blow it up?
Just blow it up so they can piss off.
Yeah. And Tuco's like, yeah, if they blow it up, or we blow it up, then these idiots can go fight somewhere else.
Yeah.
Another great line. And he's right. Blow it up, problem goes away.
Yeah, so they do. They pretty much just put TNT on a stretcher and rig the bridge.
Yeah. They've carried out the captain of the Yankees at this time, who's just got shot, but he told them in the prior scene, while drunk, I'd love to blow up the damn bridge. I've got a plan and everything. I'd go over when the truce is called for people to be stretchered off the battleground. And they're like, that's a good plan. Let's do that.
Yeah. It's interesting when they're setting the TNT, Tuco says the name of the cemetery and Blondie says Arch Stanton, the name of the grave. And so you're thinking then as the audience, okay, a little bit of trust there developing. Okay, maybe this is there. All right, no. Bridge goes boom. You want to tell what happened in real life?
Oh, yeah. So they had a walkie-talkie, or a series of walkie-talkies, but one channel. And unfortunately, so the Spanish army were there to do the controlled explosion of the bridge. And they were like delighted to be doing this, and they were eager to go. But because they only had one channel and there was a few other people on the channel, one guy shouts "Vey vey," which is, I'm absolutely getting that wrong, but it's "go go" in Italian, which was the key for the Spanish army lad to pop the bridge. Unfortunately, none of the cameras are rolling. So that guy got fired.
Yeah.
But the army guys were like, oh, that's terrible. Listen, we'll help you rebuild the bridge. Unfire that guy. It's kind of, we feel terrible about this. We'll do it again. We'll blow it up again. Come on, let's do it. Guy gets rehired and they blow it up again. Oh. This time, no idiot shouts "Vey vey."
Well, you live and learn.
Yeah.
Or you live and explode. So the captain dies happy. He lives to see the boom boom. Yes. There's a crazy. It's like a Three Stooges scene, because they jump into they jump into like a manhole. Obviously, Blondie goes in normally, and Tuco goes face first and arse in the air and
falls asleep. In there.
Yeah, so we wake up the next morning, everybody's gone. So away they go.
Yeah.
They
Dander
get
across the bridge.
Yeah, they find
Well, not the bridge.
find the walk across the wreckage of the bridge. Short scene where they find a Confederate soldier dying, and Blondie gives him a few puffs of cigar, and
An unusual bit of compassion from Mr. Blondie.
yeah, he sort of, I don't know where that comes from. Maybe because of what he just saw the entire day before.
Yeah, I think so, and he's feeling a bit moved by it as much as the man with no name is moved.
Yeah. Well, the important thing about that is
very important.
he grabs his poncho.
And then his character is built again.
Yeah.
And it's so iconic. Really is ridiculously iconic.
So obviously The Good, the Bad and the Ugly is actually a prequel to the two movies that came before this. And so if you watch the next two movies that were released before this, he's wearing the poncho. And so that's the sort of life cycle of the man with no name.
And just on the poncho again, and a call out to another movie, the Back to the Future 3, where there's a shootout between Biff and
Marty McFly.
Yeah. Anyway, he doesn't want to get killed, but he watched a movie in the first one. I think it was Fistful of Dynamite, maybe. I can't remember. Dollars, something. Anyway, one of the scenes is Clint has the cover of a boiler strapped to his chest underneath his poncho. And then it's replicated in Back to the Future 3. Exactly the same. But poncho is the same one in all three movies, which I love.
Nice. Well, we're getting into the end of it. Well, obviously, first though, Tuco pulls one last move. He's been an asshole.
As Clint is looking after the poor dying Confederate soldier, he jumps on a horse and goes, "Yeehaw! I'm Stanton, I got it. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Tuco, there's a cannon outside.
He cannons the fuck out of him.
He absolutely does. Was it twice he gets him?
Yeah, he loses the horse, so then he just starts running, but then it's the graveyard.
And again, speaking of music,
Cue
Ecstasy of Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great piece of music, like stonking. And it again, this is a prolonged scene. It really is. It goes on for a while.
Yeah. It's a huge graveyard. They built it. The Spanish army built it. When he's running down into it, did you see the dog?
I did.
That was unscripted, but
was it?
Yeah. And
it's great.
So Eli Wallach's reaction to it, because he does a big jump take at seeing the dog. It's really cool. It's actually really funny.
Yeah, and it just fits so well.
Yeah. So there's a crazy good produced scene there where he's just constantly running through it, and it just goes a blur of headstones, crazy music, blur of crosses. It goes on
for like 2-3 minutes, and it's just him running and running and running and running
with the music.
The music playing in the background is such a powerful scene until he falls over. I can't remember where he falls. Clint. No. He doesn't fall over. He finds Arch Stanton.
Yeah.
He starts shoveling away.
Yeah. And he's halfway through it, and the shovel gets thrown at him. It'll be a lot easier with that.
Yeah.
And that's Blondie. And so, Tuco just goes, all right, fine, whatever. And then
15 seconds later, it's quicker if two dig.
Two can dig quicker than one.
Yeah.
So now Angel Eyes is there.
It's a great scene.
And so then basically, Blondie's kind of going, "Oh, you're not going to get anything in there." Open it up.
Kicks open the coffin. Yeah.
It's Arch Stanton.
No, it's not. It was actually a Spanish actress's bones.
Yeah, I heard it was a real bones. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She wanted to be in movies. She wanted to leave her bones to movies for the future.
Yeah.
And she did. And she's still starring in movies. Yeah. I don't know if she's still starring in movies, but she did then.
Not anymore, but she did one film, one scene.
One scene.
Yeah. So basically, Blondie's then going, listen, I'm going to put the name under the bottom of this stone, and this sets up huge, prolonged...
A lot of money in that grave. You got to earn it.
Yeah. So there's a massive circular platform at the front in the middle of the graveyard, and they just. It's hard to describe it. It just takes forever. They get to their positions.
They all back off, and then you have like a music box type motif music playing, which is a call out to some other spaghetti westerns. But it's you're waiting for the music to stop, and the three guys are just backing off from each other, and they're all doing the squinty eye thing. Waiting for somebody else to make a move.
Yeah,
fantastic Mexican standoff,
if you can call it that.
There's one Mexican guy.
Yeah. I think it's a triduel or triul or something as well.
Triul,
whatever. But yeah, again, you're kind of going, okay, it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. It's going to happen soon. It's just one of these.
The music keeps playing,
and then slowly it's Angel Eyes whose hand goes slowly towards the holster, and that's sort of the cue for the chaos that ensues.
Yep. Blondie, pew pew.
Yeah, so Blondie and Tuco go for Angel Eyes.
Yeah,
which
because they both hate him more than they hate the other guy.
Well, exactly. So it's like the lesser of all evils. They're sort of going, okay, well, I'll go for that, but
kill him first.
Yeah, and then I'll deal with you. But Blondie's kind of going, yeah, I'm not going to shoot Tuco because he's got no bullets in his gun.
Because I'm an asshole. I took the bullets in his gun.
Just to galvanize the point that I'm a jerk.
The thing is, like Tuco doesn't redirect the gun at Blondie, but he does try to shoot Angel Eyes.
Yeah, I think he
just click.
I think he wanted to make sure Angel Eyes was going down first before starting on.
Oh yeah,
Blondie.
Make sure that guy's toast.
Yeah,
and he had it really in for Angel Eyes after what Wallace had done to him.
True that. Did you see the tip of Angel Eyes' finger missing? Lee Van Cleef's finger.
No,
I noticed it, and then I was like, okay, I need to find out what went on there with that finger. I don't know if it was a stunt double's hand, or it was his hand. Yeah, it was on his gun finger, his gun hand, and I read up.
You need that finger.
No, it wasn't his trigger finger. It was.
Oh, okay.
It was a holster. It was a sort of butt. You'd grasp it. It's the finger beside the little finger, I think.
Okay.
On Cowboy, like he chopped it off, putting furniture together for his kid.
Oh crap! Shouldn't laugh. He's dead now, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, 1989, I think he died.
Yep.
Another one of your quotes was here: the two kinds of people.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Two kinds of people. One would. No, I'm missing this one. I didn't write it down.
Two kinds of people. Those with loaded guns and those who die.
Yeah. In fairness, he doesn't kill him.
No. But he does finish off Angel Eyes. Chucks him
What I love.
Chucks him
he shoots him into the grave.
Yeah, the grave.
Then shoots his hat into the grave.
Pew.
And then shoots his gun into the grave.
Pew.
She's great.
Yeah. And Tuco's all delighted.
Contempt.
Tuco's delighted. He's going, it's all ours.
Is it though?
Beautiful pan up to the noose that puts his face into it.
Oh, isn't it just though? And the realization and the dawning sets in on his face, and he's like, fuck. You asshole.
Yep.
It was that's possibly the biggest dick move in the entire movie. You've both got a shed load of money. More money than you can probably spend back then.
But I think, I don't know.
But he does it anyway.
But Blondie, first of all, he was the first one that pissed off Tuco. He was like, go away. At the start of the movie, he's like, no, piss off. I'm taking the money, stay in the desert. So he started it.
He did start it. He's such an asshole.
Yeah. But to leave him with a noose around his neck and standing on a crooked cross, wobbly cross,
wobbling, yeah.
And it stays on his face, and he's like, every time he shouts Blondie at him as he goes on his horse far away,
it tightens on him, and
he wobbles. The cross wobbles, and I was like going, Jesus,
anxiety inducing, really, isn't it?
Very anxiety inducing. Like, what do? You just stand there and wait until you faint, and then you strangle.
He starts cursing at him. Fuck you, Blondie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then. As a nice little tying up little.
There's a drum beat.
Circular,
happening.
And he stops at a distance and gets his rifle out, pulls the sights down, takes very deliberate. Lands on his face in a big pile of gold.
Yeah. And the last line of the movie is, "Know what you are? You're a dirty son of a."
Yep, and the line apparently was "motherfucker."
I thought it was "son of a bitch."
No, I googled it. it's motherfucker.
So it's not the final scene, though. You have a very sort of slow, far off shot of Blondie going away on a horse over a very iconic Wild West scene. Red Dead Redemption 2. I wanted to play it again after watching this movie.
Yes. Listen, Finn, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's compared to the previous week's movie. There is no comparison. This is a movie.
This is a movie, and I'm very glad. I don't remember watching this as an adult, and I don't remember watching it fully as a child or teenager. So
I think I was a teenager last time I've seen this.
yeah, so it's one of those movies. And actually, I was looking at it today just to see, and I clicked randomly into the scenes, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a great scene. It's a movie that has a bunch of amazing scenes in it, one after the other, and Quentin Tarantino has really taken that sort of genre and done the same thing. You can look at a Quentin Tarantino movie, put your cursor in whatever time of the movie, and you'll find a scene that is just amazingly rich.
Yeah, there's no filler. And that is a damn good movie when you can scroll through the entire set of scenes in it and they're all good. They're all important to the movie. Or at least, they're setting a scene or they're adding some comedy. They're not just there to fill.
Right.
Yeah. Because you want your movie to be an epic movie, well, it has to be 5 hours long. No, it doesn't. Just give me all the important scenes, all the ones that have impact.
Yeah.
And every scene in this has impact.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like, if you're an indie movie director, watch this movie to understand how you make a script work. If your script is not interesting and you talk about getting postcards from a woman that's coming towards your apartment, you're not.
You got a bad script.
You don't have a story.
Yeah.
And I am depressed that people make movies and don't understand what makes a good movie. And this is what makes a good movie: characters, soundtrack, plot, and even, to be honest with you, the acting in this is probably the weakest because the dubbing takes over. The acting is great. Like, Eli Wallach is the best actor in it.
Fantastic, yeah.
Lee Van Cleef, facial expressions are sneery.
Bad guy who sneers at people.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to do. He's not in it for long enough to do more than that. Like, his character's never really developed and doesn't need to be.
No.
Clint Eastwood is bang on being the silent good guy.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. He's good. Like, he doesn't have much to say, but what he does say is delivered well, very well. But as you say, this is the Tuco movie.
Yeah.
And everything that Tuco does is interesting. It's funny. It's impactful. It is the Tuco movie, and I love every scene with him in it.
Yeah, he's really good. I was debating over my scores today, but I'm going to give the plot 4.5. It's a generic sort of plot, but it has scenes in it that drives it in a way that's quite original and unique because of the different characters that are involved and the different settings that are in and the different era that it is. I think I was reading today, it's meant to be about 1862, which, gets into the whole the damn Yankees coming down into the Confederate areas and New Mexico area, I think. So I think all of that coming together gives it a 4.5 plot.
Yeah, I would agree. Like some of the choices in how the plot's driven along, how the story progresses, like finding the carriage. Some of it's a little bit unbelievable. I don't give a damn.
No.
It's an interesting plot. It's got interesting twists and turns in it, and the amount of betrayal. You know, mwah. That's a lot of betrayal.
So what's your score?
I give it 4.5 as well. Yeah. I had it down as 4.25. No, I give it a 4.5. Love it.
Yeah. Acting, I'm giving 4, just because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit unique in the sense that all the supporting actors are obviously different language. That's fine, doesn't matter, but you don't really get the full impact of an actor giving its lines in the moment, in the scene. I think
Agreed.
Eli Wallach runs the show.
He carries this movie.
Lee Van Cleef a close second, and Clint a close third, and all the rest of people are fine, but they're heavily dubbed at times, and it sort of takes you out of the moment a little bit when it's happening. The voice acting. Sometimes when they're slurping food, it's like overly voice acted.
Yeah, I get that, but I think that's kind of almost intentional as well, though. That's dirty eating, and it's almost part of Tuco's character to do that, to be a bit dirty, slurping at his drink and slurping at his food, and rudely laughing.
What are you giving acting?
I went for 4 as well. As you said, the 3 main guys are very good. Like Eli, Jesus, he's great. The other 2 guys aren't only that really important. So the bits that they do have are well done, but that doesn't really impact it. And every other supporting actor is kind of crap, let's be honest. But they don't matter so much.
Yeah, we don't really know what they are as actors.
Yeah.
Sound brackets track. I'm giving 5. Fuck it.
Oh, see, I didn't want to give a 5. I put 4.95 because I just couldn't give
sorry,
5.
you cannot do you have to do 4.75 or 5.
Oh, okay, 4.75. I can't give 5.
Okay.
The reason I'm not giving 5 is because I don't believe anything is perfect. This is damn close to perfect. I think there's only like 3 actual tunes in this movie, and
True.
there's variations on them.
There's variations,
but they are so good.
I listened to the soundtrack for the last half hour of my work today, and then for for my walk home. And there's some great tunes, and you see the name of the song as a scene, and you go, yeah, that suits this scene amazingly well. I'm not going to give 5 for a lot of soundtracks. I'll probably give 5 to Pulp Fiction if I ever review it. Maybe 5 to Shawshank Redemption for the soundtrack. But I think everybody that's above the age of 30 will know. Yeah, and it's not even just one instrument. There's voices, there's horns, there's guitars.
It's so complex, so layered.
Yeah.
And then the different arrangements of the same song over and over again, just variations on it. But they're just, as you say, fit perfectly. I call back to the previous week's movie where you've got actually a decent movie or a decent song in the wrong position, and it kind of destroys it. Oh. This is perfectly engineered for each scene.
Yeah, it's made with a soundtrack. I think actually, I can't remember. I read something about it today, but I'm not going to say it because it's either it was made first or it was made when Enrico Morricone saw the movie. I can't remember, but it was one, and it made sense to me at the time. But it actually drove the scene and the narrative.
Just as a bit of a segue, my favorite soundtrack in any movie is The Mission, and that's Ennio again.
Oh, he did 534 movies. He wrote the soundtrack for.
He was a monster.
He did Hateful Eight, so Quentin Tarantino had his dream.
Yeah. I don't think Ennio was a bit cranky at this time, so he didn't like working with.
Oh, really?
Tarantino. But Tarantino got his dream come true. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and you can from I every time when I was listening to the songs today and during the movie, I got a lot of Kill Bill vibes from the movie, from the songs, and it was. Yeah, it's a really good soundtrack. Production, I'm giving 4.5 just because of the dubbing.
Stop copying me. Listen, the production is beautiful. The cinematography is you know what, better than something like Lawrence of Arabia, which has fantastic cinematography.
True.
This is measured correctly.
True.
Similar scenes, amazing vistas, but they're not overly cumbersome. They don't hang around too long.
No, and I appreciate that. I think there's a lot more. When I think back to Lawrence of Arabia, I can't remember dialogue and conversations that I was excited about as I was in this movie, where the characters actually had a bit more meat to them, and I just enjoyed listening to them converse with one another and different characters in the movie. Lawrence of Arabia had Lawrence and Omar Sharif and the other dudes, and yeah, they're sort of a little bit 2D compared to the characters evolved
I
in this
agree.
story.
I agree completely.
Yeah,
Again, it's about Tuco.
it's a Tuco movie. It's a Tuco movie, and Clint Eastwood will probably say that too. It's a Tuco movie. Wonder what he thinks of it now in his 90s. If somebody asks him,
I'm sure,
"Hey,
listen, he's not going to be complaining. I think
no, no, no,
Clint Eastwood has said that Sergio is one of his big influences as a director. Um, so he won't complain too much. Like, and you can see that in movies like The Unforgiven, like where he's sort of deconstructing the Western.
mm,
Actually, that's my favorite Western movie by a long way.
yeah, I need to watch that again."
It's a great movie, fantastic movie. Slightly better, just tiny bit better than this movie. And
Oh,
that's yeah, I know.
how are you
That's
going to do that if you ever rate it? You're going to have to give the
I
plot
just don't know.
4.75 and the acting more
I'd
than
probably
4.
the acting I'd give a 5 in that nearly.
Arr.
Yeah, I
There
won't rate
was
that movie now.
no. There was a script for a Ford movie with the man with no name, but Clint didn't go for it.
He had enough Ferraris at this point.
Yeah. So, Variety magazine gave it 60 out of 100. A curious amalgam of the visually striking, the dramatically feeble, and the offensively sadistic. You like that?
Well, I agree with this offensively sadistic thing, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in a movie.
That's a good thing. Chicago Tribune, Michael Wilmington gave it 100. An improbable masterpiece, a bizarre mixture of grandly operatic visuals, grim brutality, and sordid violence that keeps wrenching you from one extreme to the other.
See, he kind of agrees with the previous guy, but says it's great.
Yeah. Two different people, two different takes.
Yeah.
Well, so let's bury this episode with a pot of gold. Oh. And sadly, we're going to wander into the vast deserts of the randomness of Metacritic's all-time movie list for the next episode.
Without a parasol.
Without a parasol, and let's see what we're going to get. 3004.
Ooh.
Okay, movie 3004 is actually The Trip to Italy with Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon.
Get out of town! Yes! Oh, I haven't seen it. I think I've seen a couple of scenes just flicking through. I think it was on BBC or something. I can't remember. But oh, wow. Excellent. I love Steve Coogan. And I love, what's his face? Sorry.
Rob Brydon.
So
here's the deal. So I've watched all of them. There's maybe 4 now, I think, because I think the last one was they were going through Spain. So Italy, I think, is the second one. Maybe there's only 3.
Do we need to watch the first ones then?
No, you don't. You don't, because it's not really. I remember this one being quite. They try to do a bit more of a plot to it. Kind of loses away a little bit in it, but they're still funny. The premise is Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon reunite. Yeah, so it's the second season for a new culinary road trip, retracing the steps of the romantic poet's grand tour of Italy and indulging in some sparkling banter and impersonation offs. Re-wetting our palates from the earlier film, the characters enjoy mouth-watering meals in gorgeous settings from Liguria to Capri, while riffing on subject as varied as Batman's vocal register, the artistic merits of Jagged Little Pill, and of course the virtue of sequels. So yeah, I remember watching this, and some things happened to Steve Coogan's background and his family in this, and so it sort of distracts a little bit from the first movie, the trip that goes around England. But it's still, I think it's still quite funny, and I just love when they're riffing together during it.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
Oh, really? What the hell?
Yeah. I know, and that's a weird thing to say because I love both guys, and I have seen a couple of scenes out of it, and I thought this is amazing because their interactions are hilarious.
Yeah, and I don't know if this one came out in a series of episodes because I know the first one came out in a series of episodes and they just put it together in a movie. So this one's 1 hour and 48 minutes. It's got a Metascore of 75 and a user score of 5.9. So there's a little bit of separation there. Yeah, because I think The Trip was so good. The first one, it was so funny. This one is still funny, but it loses its way a bit. But it'll be good to go through it. Obviously, it's directed by the British stalwart Michael Winterbottom, who's
very good.
Yeah, he's done
Cold Bum.
Yeah, he's done The Trip. He's done all of the trips. He's done The Trip to Spain, The Trip to Greece. Oh yeah, so The Trip to Spain was the third season. The Trip to Greece was the fourth season. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. A little bit of lightheartedness.
Surprisingly happy to see the random gods are being very pleasant to us.
That's a good one. It's a good one. 3004 is a bit weird for it to be way up there, but that's what 75 gets you in the Metacritic list of stuff.
Well, in fairness, what was the number prior to
2090?
Yeah, so that should be, that should be better. Clearly was not.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So we'll see you in episode 55, I believe, for the trip to Italy. If you can leave a review or give likes to our podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on, that would be great. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Ciao.